All right. Hello again, adventures, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. This is Daily Vlog 2025, number 210, I think it is. Numbers are hard, people. They really are. So, today, we have got some major announcements for the Cypher system. For anyone that is unaware, Monty Cook back in, I don't know, I want to say it's 2012, somewhere around there, before today, ran a Kickstarter to create a new game system. If you're not familiar with the name Monty Cook, he actually has a pretty big history in TTRPGs, just in general. He worked on, I want to say, yeah, he worked on some D&D stuff in second edition, and worked for TSR before it was purchased by Wizards of the Coast, and then when it was purchased by Wizards of the Coast, he was one of the people that helped design the third edition of D&D, or as I like to call it, the most complicated version of Dungeons and Dragons that has ever existed. He also worked on another thing that I really enjoy. There was a module for 3rd edition called Return to the Temple of Elemental Evil, and it's exactly what it sounds like. So, after leaving Wizards of the Coast, he decided that he wanted to make his own game, and so he kickstarted this game called Numenera, which was the first version of the Cypher system. If you have never experienced the Cypher system, you really need to. It is a phenomenal game system, very much more rules light than something like Dungeons and Dragons. Even like 5th edition, it's going to be significantly more rules light. And one of my favorite things about the Cypher system is how you design your characters. Your character is a sentence. And I mean that in the literal sense. Your character is described by name, is an adjective, noun, who, verbs. That's how you do it. And each one of those words is a different part of your character. Name is obviously name. Adjective is what's called your descriptor. The noun is what's called your focus, or not your focus, your type. And then the verb is what's called your focus. And so effectively, if you think of it in more kind of traditional TTRPG terms, your type is your class. Your descriptor is akin to your race. And there are racial descriptors or species descriptors. Like if you wanted to be an elven warrior, those do exist. But descriptors can also be, a patient warrior, or things like that. And then the verb is your focus, and it's effectively your subclass. And the thing that makes the Cypher system so interesting is every focus and every descriptor can be combined with every type. So there are no warrior exclusive foci. There are no adept, which is their version of a mage, exclusive descriptors. Everything can be combined with everything else to create this really interesting, unique character. And again, I'm actually going to look up here because I want to know specifically. There we go. Cook co-founded Monty Cook Games LLC with Shanna Germain in 2012. So yeah, I believe 2012 was when Numenera first came out, which is the first version of the Cypher system. There have been many, many, many iterations since then. My personal favorite flavor of the Cypher system is called the Strange. And basically, in the Strange, you play an agent of a clandestine organization whose entire job is to monitor these different regressions, which are these kind of alternate realities that somehow connect to the regular world. And most of these regressions are based on fiction of some sort from Earth. So you have like a high fantasy setting, and then a kind of post-apocalyptic one, and a horror-themed one, and all these other things. It is by far one of my favorite settings in the world. It inspired Tears of the Realms, which is my Zelda TTRPG that I run right now for Zelda Universe, and we use the Cypher system for that game. And again, I absolutely adore it. However, the Cypher system has been regularly kickstarting and releasing new content ever since it was released, to be perfectly honest. There's a lot of different content. I own a decent amount of it. As far as specifically Cypher system stuff, I own Cypher. There we go. I own the Cypher system core book because they have a generic version of the Cypher system called the Cypher system. And I own that core book and a bunch of things for that. And then I also own Claim the Sky, which is their superhero themed one. God Forsaken, which is weird. Gods of the Fall is another weird one. Numenera is a kind of post-apocalyptic, it's a forgotten history one where you are living in the ninth realm, and there are 8 previous versions of civilization, and kind of the point of Numenera is to explore these previous versions of civilization and find things from it. Predation, dinosaurs. Stars Are Fire is Space. The Strange I've already talked about, and then Unmasked is I believe another superhero one, but it's more kind of Teen Titans focused, whereas Claim the Sky is a little bit more adult focused. So anyway, and there are more than that. They have added a bunch of new games that are technically use the Cypher system, but have changed the rules in various different ways. And that's what we're talking about today, now that we are, 8 minutes into the video. So, the other thing about the Cypher system is after you build your character, there are these things called ciphers, which are basically one-time use abilities that you find throughout the world. So you are constantly expected to be picking up these ciphers and using them, so you can pick up more and then use more and then pick up more and then use more. So it's a really interesting dynamic system. So why are we talking about it today? Well, I want to say for like the past year, maybe a little longer, Monty Cook Games has been mentioning, hey, we're coming out with a second edition. We're creating a revised edition, new edition, whatever you want to call it. There's going to be a new Cypher system. And according to the Cypher system subreddits, everyone that's on the BackerKit sign-up list, you can actually sign up. BackerKit will let people like sign up to your mailing list so that they get information before you actually launch something. According to this post in the Cypher system subreddit, the new Cypher system is going to be announced officially tomorrow with a crowdfunding campaign that's going to start in late summer, which at this point means probably end of August, because that's the end of summer and August is a couple days away. Yeah, they're going to crowdfund it, and again, according to this post, their plan is to have it out in about a year after the crowdfunding is done. So by this time next year, we might have a new version of the Cypher system to play around with. So what does that mean? Well, that's another thing that's been happening. On the because I joined the Cypher System Discord, and they're always talking about kind of like the work that they're doing, the design work that they're doing for the new Cypher System. And one of the things that has relatively recently been announced and seems to be in its somewhat final stage is they're changing how damage works in the system. One of the things that some people don't really like about the Cypher system is in the Cypher system, you have 3 pools that you use to do just about everything. You have your might pool, you have your speed pool, and you have your intellect pool. And most of your abilities, most of your more powerful abilities will cost a certain number of points from a particular pool. So you might have like a Mind Blast ability, and that requires you to spend 1 point from your intellect pool. Well, whenever you get hits, the damage that you take is taken out of your pools as well. So your pools operate not only as effectively your magic point system or your stamina point system, whatever you want to call it, they also act as your hit points. So using points from your pool can cause you using points from your pool is basically kind of like using your hit points to fuel abilities. And there are some people that just really don't like that idea. The idea of, well, if I want to do the cool stuff, I have to make myself weaker. That sounds stupid. It works in the system. To be blunt, as weird as it sounds, it works in the system, but it's something that people have complained about, I believe, since its inception. And so they have play tested and discussed this new damage system, which is basically changing, taking damage from taking things out of your pools, which at this point it sounds like your pools are going to be exclusively used to power your abilities, and you're basically just going to get an entirely different hit point bar, effectively. And the hit points are separated into 3 different wounds. You have minor wounds, moderate wounds, and major wounds. And if anyone's going, oh my god, they're copying Daggerheart, not really, actually. This one is a little bit different, and it still feels like Cypher System. And in order to understand how that, we have to talk about, well, what happens when you take damage in the current Cypher System. So in the current Cypher System, the way damage works is unless it specifically states you take 3 points of speed damage or 2 points of intellect damage. All damage hits your strength pool or your might pool first, then it goes to your speed pool, then it goes to your intellect pool. When one of your pools reaches 0, you become impaired, I think it is, which effectively, before I say the wrong thing, I'm going to look it up. Cypher System rules. There we go. How to play the Cypher System. Rule combat, special rules, experience points. That did not help. Sorry, my brain is not working right now, so I can't actually remember absolutely everything I want to say. Damage track is what I want. There we go. Damage track. Okay, so basically what happens once one of your pools goes to 0, you move down the damage track. The damage track has 4 different places on it. The first place thing is hail. Hail is the normal state for a character. This is coming directly from the Cypher system rulebook. All 3 stat pools are at 1 or higher, and the PC has no penalties from harmful conditions. That's what hail is. Impaired, once one of your pools, it doesn't matter which one, once one of your pools reaches 0, you become impaired. When an impaired character applies effort, it costs 1 extra point per level of applied. Effort is one of the ways that you can make your characters be able to do things. And every time you apply a level of effort, it makes it easier for you to hit things, or you can do more damage. It's slightly more complicated than that, but that's all you guys need to know. And it costs you a number of points for every level of effort you spend. So an impaired character, now anytime they want to spend effort, it costs an additional point per level. Example, normally your first level of effort costs you 3 points. If you're impaired, it now costs 4 points. Your second level of effort would normally cost you 2 points. When you're impaired, it costs 3. So if I wanted to do something, I wanted to add on 2 levels of effort for a normal character, it would cost me a total of 5 points from whatever pool I'm using to make that attack. An impaired character, it would cost 7 points. And if you're wondering, well, like, how many points do you normally have in those pools? Generally, you will start anywhere between, your pools start at 8 points. But you have a bunch of points that you can put into them when you first create your characters. So normally your starting pools will be anywhere from about 12 to 16. And as you level up, you can add more to your pools. But they're generally not going to get much higher than maybe 20 to 25. Even on a max level character, you might get to 30. So spending 7 points is a huge portion of your pool. And that's in addition to any abilities that have costs and things like that as well. So the next level down is debilitated. Once you have 2 pools that are empty, debilitated is a critically injured state. A debilitated character may not take any actions other than to move, probably crawl, no more than an immediate distance. If a debilitated character's speed pool is 0, they can't move at all. And then if all 3 of your stat pools go to 0, you are dead. So that's how it works currently, where you basically have 3 different groups of hit points. And when one group of hit points is gone, you have just a debuff effectively. When your second group of those 3 is gone, you're effectively unconscious, as it would be in D&D 5th edition. And then when your third one is gone, you're just gone. So, that being said, what is the new system? Well, again, I mentioned you've got minor, moderate, and major wounds, and each one of those wounds, you have a set number of them that you can take. So let's say, for ease of math, you've got 5 minor wounds you can take, 4 moderate wounds, and 3 major wounds. What that means is whenever you take damage, depending on the damage that you're taking, the way that they describe it here, and this is taken directly from r/RPG, which was talking about this, but this is actually them quoting from the email that was describing the new system. So this is technically from Monty Cook Games. When you get a bruise or a smaller cut, it's a minor wound. But if someone slashes you with a sword or you fall off the roof of a house, it's a moderate wound. And then the bite of a gigantic monster or a shot from a high-powered rifle is likely a major wound. So the way that it works now is your minor wounds, until you take the max that you can withstand, you just count them. Just like any other kind of hit point system. Once you have taken the max number of minor wounds that you can, every wound that you take from that point on is minimum a moderate wound. And when you've suffered the max moderate wounds, which in this case is 4, then you are hindered. And then all wounds that you take are major wounds. And then if you take 3 major wounds, you're dead. So it still is somewhat similar to the old version of the Cypher system, where you have this kind of damage track, and the more damage that you take, the more difficult it is for you to play your character. But it's no longer feeling like you're punishing yourself anytime you use your points to do something, because you're getting yourself that much closer to dying effectively, literally every time you use any of your, or a lot of your really cool abilities. So, that being said, just because you have minor wound slots open doesn't mean those are the only wounds that you can take. As they mentioned in there, like the bite of a gigantic monster might just be a major wound. And I would assume they're going to have systems in the game to kind of deal with wounds, probably in a similar way that they do to Daggerheart, where you have armor that can reduce wounds to a lower threshold into the things like that. I would assume they're probably going to cook up a system like that, simply because if all it takes is 3 hits from a tough monster to just outright kill any one of the player characters, then the game is either going to make it very, very difficult for major wounds to happen, or characters are just going to be dying left and right. But it did kind of, thank you, phone. It did kind of make me think about the idea of damage systems in TTRPGs in general, and the idea of making your character harder to play the more damage you take. It's not very common at all in tabletop RPGs for that to be a thing, just because one of the easiest things to balance in most TTRPGs is the damage that you take. And having the more damage you take make it harder to play your character starts to interfere with one of the kind of core aspects of the combat system of just about every TTRPG. So wait a minute. The more I interact with this system, the harder it becomes to succeed at this system. That seems backwards. It feels like the more I interact with the system, the easier it should be for me to do things. And so there's not a whole lot of TTRPGs that do have a system like that, where the more hit points you take, the more the more detriments you have to your character. And this particular system is an interesting to take. The Cypher system in and of itself, like combat, comparing like Cypher system combat to like D&D combat, Cypher system is much, much faster. Most characters, most enemies have single-digit hit points. And your attacks, their base damage they will do is light weapons do 1 point of damage, medium weapons do 2, heavy weapons do 3 or 4. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then you can have things built into your type and your focus, and sometimes your descriptor, but not often, that will increase damage with certain types of weapons. But in general, you're normally going to be doing somewhere in the neighborhood between 2 and 5 points of damage anytime you attack. And combat, you just get an action, very similar to Daggerheart. It is it's a single action economy, or one action economy, where you just have your action on your turn. That can include moving, and not an immediate distance, a short distance, which is 30 feet or 50 feet, somewhere around there. It's designed for a more theater of the mind style gameplay, and because of that, because of the low amount of hit points that everybody has, combat tends to be very, very quick. compared to a lot of other TTRPGs. So with this new hit point thing, like thinking, the idea of like, oh my god, I only have a grand total of 5, 4, 3 is 12. I only have a grand total of 12 hit points. And once I lose 9 of them, I'm already limping. Like that doesn't seem like I'm going to be able to go through many combats unless we're constantly healing ourselves somehow. Yeah, like I said, it's an interesting idea. And again, I've been playing the Cypher system for 2 years now, with Tears of the Realms, and I did do a Cypher system one shot the first year for Daily December that I started running RPGs. The one where I ran 4 different RPGs in that month, and that was not fun. It was very cool because I got to try 4 different RPGs. I did the Cypher system, I did Dune, I did Avatar, and I can't remember. Oh, and I did Library Cats. So it was really, really fun to be able to try that many systems, but learning 4 systems, each one, learning 4 systems, each one learning it in a week well enough to teach it to people that had never played before, and then lining up enough people to play in 4 different games with 4 different systems. That was a nightmare. But anyway, I've been playing the Cypher system for a while. I really haven't had an issue with the pool system that they have right now. I know specifically one of my players doesn't like the system, but he still has a lot of fun playing the game. And I don't put a ton of combat into any of my games. Like, I enjoy combat, don't get me wrong, in TTRPGs, but I'm not particularly adept at creating interesting Giga combat. And if I'm going to put combat into any of my Giga games, it's going to have a point. It's going to help further the story. So I don't do things like random encounters or, just a bunch of encounters meant to kind of whittle down resources and stuff like that. Or at least I don't do that very often. There are some specific times when I do that, but again, it's in furtherance of the story. So because of that, my players, I don't think, have really had an issue with their pool. Like, I don't think I've ever had a player get down to the debilitated track on the damage track. We've had them hit impaired a few times, and I haven't lost a character as of yet. And we've been playing for 2 years, so. But yeah, it does make you think about the idea of, because in actual combat, the more times you get hit, the harder it is for you to continue going. Like, that is real. But TTRPGs aren't real. They're meant to be an escape from reality. And so most people have never had a problem with the idea of like, yeah, I'm great, and then I'm not. Which can happen in actual combat. Like, a lot of people don't realize, like, taking a single punch can end a fight. Like, we are, humans in general are remarkably fragile creatures. And especially when we're dealing with our head and our brain. Like, all a concussion is your brain kind of floats in your head. It's not like connected to bones or anything. It just kind of sits in there sloshing around. If it moves too much to where it kind of crushes up against part of your skull, that's a concussion. That's why things like whiplash are so dangerous. So if someone hits you hard enough that your skull moves before your brain does, that's a concussion. That's all you need. And concussions can be deadly. They tend to not be, but they're not good. Repeated concussions are deadly. So yeah, the idea of you're fine until you're not technically tracks. When you're hyped up on adrenaline and stuff like that, like, you can take a lot of damage, and you won't feel it for a little bit, but eventually you do, and it hits you bad. I have personal experience in this that I won't get into right now, but um, yeah. So the idea of like the traditional hit point system does kind of make sense for those people. Like, but it's not real. We want realism. No, you don't. First of all, because real life is incredibly boring. Real combat is incredibly boring when you're watching it. Because again, like in the military with like firearms and things like that, you only got to get hit by one bullet to be done. You don't get to get hit, 3, 4, 7, 8 times and keep on pushing through like they do in the movies. No, one bullet, you're done. It doesn't even need to hit somewhere vital. Like you get shot in the arm, that arm probably ain't doing a whole lot, and the rest of your body hurts like hell. Despite the fact that this is the only thing that's hurt, the hurt radiates. It's impressive. If you're hit somewhere in your torso, you're done. Because anytime you try to move, it's going to try to use the muscles that don't connect correctly anymore. So, yeah. Anyway, thought it was interesting. As soon as the Cypher system backer kit or whatever they're going to use for it, as soon as it launches, I will definitely be covering it. Again, I'm a massive Cypher system fan. My series, Discovering New Dragons and Designing New Dragons, I do have a Cypher system series on that where I talk about the system in and of itself, and then I also built 3 characters in the Cypher system. So if you want a little bit better idea of what it's like, what the system itself is like, they're on this channel. You can check them out. They're in a playlist. Yeah, interested to hear from you guys. First of all, do we have any Cypher system fans out there? Or those of you that were unfamiliar before today, has my description enticed anyone going, maybe I should look that up? The Cypher system recently has been in a bunch of different Humble bundles, like that big massive Humble bundle where you got like 50 different TTRPGs. The Cypher system core rulebook is in there. The Cypher system SRD is free. You can get it directly from the Cypher system website, directly from Monty Cook, or there's also a website that kind of organizes it a little bit better. So if you wanted to play the Cypher system, it's 100% free. And you can use any of the Roll20 character sheets if you want like a digital character sheet. Most of the Roll20 character sheets work really, really well. It's what I use. I use the Strange one specifically for Tears of the Realms. And it's great. We we love everything about it. So, like I said, any Cypher System fans out there, let me know. Any people that aren't currently Cypher System fans that have been intrigued, let me know. And the third thing, what do you guys think about a second edition? Or the idea of damage affecting your combat abilities over to time? Let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, again, it's going to be all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.